The secret to becoming untouchable. Timeless Buddhist principles. My dear friends, let me tell you a story. Once long ago, in a valley surrounded by green rice fields and winding rivers, there stood a mountain. The villagers who lived nearby often said the mountain was alive. Why? Because no matter how fierce the storms grew, no matter how the winds screamed and the rain lashed against its surface, the mountain never moved. Trees bent, rivers overflowed, roofs were torn away, but the mountain remained still, silent, and unmoved. The people began to use this mountain as their measure of strength. When children felt afraid of the thunder, parents would say, "Be like the mountain." When farmers lost their crops to the floods, elders would remind them, "The mountain endures." And when quarrels broke out in the village, monks would walk among the people and whisper, "Remember, the mountain does not argue with the storm." One day, a young boy from the village climbed up the mountain after a night of heavy rain. He wanted to see for himself how the mountain could stay so calm. As he reached a high ledge, he sat down and looked out. Below him, the valley still carried the scars of the storm, fallen branches, muddy waters, broken homes. But where he sat, all was still. The air was fresh, and the silence of the mountain wrapped around him like a warm cloak. He asked aloud, "Mountain, how can you remain so still when everything else suffers?" And in the quiet of his heart, he seemed to hear an answer. "I do not fight the wind. I do not resist the rain. I let them pass. They come, they go, but I remain rooted in the earth. That is why I stand unmoved." My friends, this is our story too. Life will bring storms. You and I cannot stop them. Sickness will come, loss will come, people will speak harsh words, the world will tremble with uncertainty. But we are not meant to be tossed around like leaves in the wind. We are meant to be like that mountain, still, rooted, unshaken. The Buddha taught that the world will always be filled with gain and loss, praise and blame, joy and sorrow. These pairs of opposites are like the changing weather. If we chase after joy and run from sorrow, if we cling to praise and collapse under blame, then we are like a small boat on a stormy sea, always at the mercy of the waves. But if we live by the Dharma, if we ground ourselves in wisdom and compassion, then we are like the mountain. Storms may rage, but inside, we are steady. So let me ask you, what storm are you facing today? Is it a storm in your body, a sickness that shakes your confidence? Is it a storm in your heart, a wound from someone's words or betrayal? Is it a storm in your mind, a flood of worry and doubt? Whatever storm it is, know this: you do not have to be carried away. You can stand still, you can breathe deeply, you can remember that storms pass, but the mountain remains. From this story, we learn a lesson about faith. Faith in the Dharma, faith in the truth, that nothing is permanent, not even suffering. Faith that if you remain rooted in awareness, compassion, and wisdom, then truly, nothing can shake you. This is the path we will walk together. Step by step, principle by principle, we will learn how to live so that nothing, no storm, no wind, no fire of anger, no flood of desire, can affect us. And it begins right here, with the story of the mountain. Principle 1. Understanding impermanence. My friends, let us take the first step on this path, to understand impermanence. The Buddha once held up a flower before his disciples. He said nothing, yet his gaze rested gently on that simple blossom. A few moments later, one monk smiled, a smile of deep realization. Why? Because he saw that the beauty of the flower was already fading. Its petals would soon wither, its fragrance vanish, its form return to the soil. In this truth of impermanence lay the secret of peace. Look closely around you. Everything you see is in motion. The seasons change, rivers flow, clouds drift. A baby becomes a child becomes an adult, and then the cycle of aging and death continues. Even the mountains erode, and stars themselves burn out. Impermanence is not something rare. It is the very fabric of existence. Yet what do? We cling. We hold tightly to youth, as if it will not fade. We grasp at wealth, as if it will never slip away. We cling to relationships, forgetting that all meetings must someday part. And when change inevitably comes, our hearts break, not because of impermanence itself, but because we resisted it. The Buddha said, "All conditioned things are impermanent." When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. Notice the words carefully. He did not say impermanence brings suffering. He said seeing it with wisdom frees us from suffering. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. That is how life works. If you grip too tightly, you lose even faster. But if you cup your hand gently, letting the grains rest without force, you can hold them longer. Impermanence is not an enemy. It is a teacher, reminding us to hold gently, to appreciate without clinging. Think of the sunset. If you cling, you panic. Don't go, stay beautiful forever. But if you understand impermanence, you sit in awe, watching the colors shift, grateful for every breath of that moment. Which way leads to peace? Which way leads to suffering? My friends, impermanence is also a gift. Why? Because it means pain will pass. No storm lasts forever. No wound stays open without healing. When the heart breaks, time and mindfulness can mend it. Impermanence makes growth possible. Imagine if nothing ever changed. No mistakes could be corrected. No lessons learned. No seeds grown into trees. Impermanence is not only the truth of loss, it is also the promise of transformation. Take your own life as an example. The person you were 5 years ago is not the person you are today. Your body has changed. Your thoughts have shifted. Your understanding has grown. Every cell in your body has been replaced. You are proof of impermanence, and also proof of renewal. But let us go deeper. When we truly understand impermanence, fear begins to fade. Why? Because fear often comes from trying to hold on. We fear death because we cling to life as though it were ours to keep. We fear change because we worship stability. But if we see clearly that change is the natural law, then death is not a thief. It is part of the flow. Change is not a punishment. It is simply the way of things. So how do we practice with impermanence? First, observe it daily. Watch the steam rise from your cup of tea and disappear. Feel the breath enter your body and leave again. Notice how emotions rise in the mind like waves and then dissolve. Second, reflect on it deeply. When anger burns, remind yourself, this too will pass. When joy arises, savor it fully, without grasping, knowing it too will pass. Third, live in gratitude. If everything is fleeting, then every moment is precious. Every smile, every breath, every act of kindness is unique, never to be repeated in exactly the same way. The Buddha compared life to a bubble on a stream, beautiful, shimmering, yet fragile and brief. When we see this, we do not despair, we awaken. We live with more gentleness, more urgency for what truly matters, more compassion for those around us who, like us, are passing through this fleeting world. So I ask you, my friends, can you open your hands a little today? Can you let go of the tight grip on what must change? Can you trust that impermanence, though it takes, also gives? Because when you understand impermanence, not with fear, but with wisdom, then truly nothing can affect you. Principle 2. Non-self and letting go of ego. My friends, now let us walk deeper into the Dharma and speak of a truth that shakes the very foundation of how we see ourselves, the teaching of non-self, anatta. From the day we are born, we are told, this is you. A name is given, a body is clothed. People say, that's your toy, that's your home, that's your dream. And so we grow up weaving a tight net of I, me, and mine. We cling to it fiercely. My success, my failure, my family, my pride. But the Buddha, out of compassion, pointed to a liberating truth. This self we defend so anxiously is not fixed, not permanent, not solid. Think of your body. Is it truly yours? You say, my body, but every cell is changing. Hair grows and falls out. Skin renews. Bones weaken. Breath comes and goes. If this body were really yours, you could command it. Never grow old, never get sick, never die. But can you? The body does not obey. It follows the law of nature. Now think of the mind. Is it truly you? You say, my thoughts, my feelings. But do thoughts ask your permission before arriving? Suddenly a memory appears. A worry intrudes. A desire burns. An anger flares. If the mind were truly yours, you could order it. Think only good thoughts. Never feel sadness. Never feel fear. But can you? No. The mind flows like the wind, arising and vanishing. So where then is this permanent I? Search deeply, and you will find only processes, changing elements, like waves in the ocean. Body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, consciousness, all arising, all passing. Together they create the illusion of a solid me. But like a rainbow, it is a pattern of conditions, not a separate lasting entity. This truth is not meant to frighten, but to free. Why? Because the I we cling to is heavy. Think of how much suffering comes from ego. When pride is wounded, we burn with anger. When comparison arises, we drown in envy. When self-image is threatened, we scramble to defend it. When praise comes, we cling. When blame comes, we collapse. All of this is the burden of ego. And yet what is ego but a story? A story we keep repeating to ourselves. A mask we wear so long we forget. It isn't our true face. The Buddha taught, in this body of ours, there is no permanent self, no unchanging soul. When you let this truth sink in, something beautiful happens. The burden falls. You do not have to defend me all the time. You do not have to fight every insult, chase every compliment, prove your worth. You can breathe. You can simply be. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Every day you lug it around, believing it is yours to keep. But then someone shows you, these rocks are not yours. You can set them down. What relief would you feel? That is the freedom of letting go of ego. Does this mean we do not exist at all? No, my friends. The Buddha did not deny existence. He showed that what we call self is not a single solid thing. It is a flow, a dance of causes and conditions. Like a flame that depends on fuel, the body and mind depend on food, air, relationships, karma. When the conditions change, the flame changes. This is not nihilism, it is wisdom. So how do we practice non-self? First, notice language. How often do you say, my pain, my problem, my success? Try seeing them as simply pain, problem, success, not mine, just part of life's flow. Second, watch reactions. When someone criticizes you, instead of thinking, they are attacking me, see it as words, sounds, conditions, rising and passing. Not everything needs to be taken personally. Third, practice compassion. When the walls of ego soften, the boundaries between me and you begin to dissolve. You see that just as you suffer, so do others. Just as you long for happiness, so do others. The heart expands, and love flows more easily. The Buddha himself showed this. Once, a man insulted him with harsh words. The Buddha listened calmly. When the man stopped, the Blessed One asked, if a person offers you a gift, and you refuse it, to whom does the gift belong? The man answered, to the one who offered it. The Buddha said, so too with your anger. I do not accept it. It remains with you. This is the power of non-self. When you no longer carry the heavy burden of ego, insults cannot pierce you, praise cannot inflate you, fear cannot control you. You become free, unshaken, like the mountain. So I ask you, my friends, can you loosen your grip on I, me, mine? Can you try, even for a moment, to see yourself not as a fixed object, but as a flowing process, part of a vast web of life? For when the illusion of ego fades, suffering fades too, and then, nothing, truly nothing, can affect you. Principle 3. Compassion as an armor. My dear friends, now let us step into one of the most radiant teachings of the Buddha, the principle of compassion. Compassion is not weakness. Compassion is not naive. Compassion is the armor of the awakened heart. It is the shield that protects us from hatred, envy, and bitterness. It is the fire that warms us when the world turns cold. When compassion is alive within us, nothing outside can poison our spirit. Let me tell you a story. Once the Buddha was walking with his disciples when they came across a man shouting angrily. His face was red, his words sharp as knives, his body trembling with rage. The disciples grew uneasy, some even fearful. But the Buddha looked upon the man with calm eyes and said, "This man is suffering." The disciples asked, "Master, how can you say he suffers when he seems so strong, so fierce?" The Buddha replied, "Anger is a hot coal he clutches with his own hand, hoping to throw it at another. Who is burned first? He is." And then the Buddha did not respond with anger. He responded with compassion. He saw the man not as an enemy, but as a human being caught in the fire of his own suffering. And by that compassion, the Buddha remained untouched, free, unharmed. My friends, this is the armor of compassion. When we meet hatred with hatred, we are pierced. When we meet cruelty with cruelty, we are wounded. But when we meet pain with compassion, we are not harmed, we are strengthened. Think of it this way: if someone throws thorns at you and you throw them back, your hands bleed. But if you lay them down gently and plant them in the soil, they can become roses. Compassion is the transformation of thorns into flowers. But you may ask, how can I practice compassion when people hurt me? How can I love when the world feels so harsh? The Buddha taught the practice of metta, loving kindness meditation. In this practice we sit quietly and send out thoughts of goodwill. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. Then we extend it outward. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. And further, may all beings everywhere, without exception, be safe, peaceful, and free. At first this may feel difficult, especially toward those who have harmed us. But remember, compassion does not mean agreeing with wrongdoing. Compassion does not mean letting others harm us. It means seeing the truth, that those who harm are themselves trapped in suffering, blinded by ignorance, driven by craving or fear. When we see this, instead of carrying hatred in our own hearts, we carry understanding. And in that understanding, we are protected. Let me share another story. There was once a monk who lived in a village plagued by bandits. One night, the bandits stormed into his hut, demanding money. He had none to give. They threatened his life. The monk, instead of panicking, simply said, "If you take my life, may it end my suffering. If you spare me, may I use my life to end the suffering of others. Whatever you choose, may you one day find peace." The bandits were stunned. They had expected fear, anger, resistance. Instead they met compassion, and slowly, their hearts softened. Some even wept. This is the armor of compassion. It disarms the world, even when the world comes with weapons. Now, compassion is not only for others, it must also be for ourselves. So many of us carry wounds not from others, but from the harshness of our own thoughts. We scold ourselves, shame ourselves, punish ourselves for mistakes. But what if instead of cruelty, we offered ourselves compassion? What if when we failed, we whispered, "It's okay, may I learn, may I grow, may I heal"? Self-compassion is not selfish, it is necessary. If you cannot offer kindness to yourself, how can you offer it fully to others? When your own heart is at peace, your compassion flows effortlessly, like water from a spring. My friends, let compassion be your shield. The world may insult you, but compassion keeps your heart soft. The world may betray you, but but compassion keeps you from turning bitter. The world may misunderstand you, but compassion keeps you free from resentment. And here is the truth. Compassion is not weakness. It is the greatest strength. Hatred can be broken by hatred, but compassion cannot be broken at all. It absorbs, transforms, and releases. That is why the Buddha called it a divine dwelling, a place where the heart can live and never be shaken. So let me ask you, can you practice compassion today? Can you look upon someone who has hurt you and say, "May you one day find peace"? Can you look upon yourself with all your scars and flaws and say, "May I be free from suffering"? If you can, then you will discover the armor that nothing, truly nothing, can penetrate. Principle 4. The middle way of equanimity. My friends, let us now walk into the heart of balance, the teaching the Buddha called the middle way, where equanimity, or upekkha, shines like a steady flame. Imagine a tightrope stretched across a great river. On one side is the pull of desire, pleasure, greed, attachment. On the other side is the weight of aversion, fear, anger, despair. If you lean too far in either direction, you fall. But if you walk the middle path, with balance and mindfulness, you reach the other side in peace. This is equanimity. It is not coldness. It is not indifference. It is the calm strength of a heart that sees clearly and does not cling to extremes. The Buddha himself discovered this truth. In his youth, he lived in luxury, surrounded by silk and song. Yet the sweetness of pleasure soon revealed its bitterness. Later, he practiced harsh austerities, starving, punishing his body, nearly to death. But this too brought no awakening. Finally, beneath the Bodhi tree, he found the middle way, not drowning in indulgence, not burning in denial, but walking the balanced path of wisdom and compassion. My friends, life constantly tempts us to swing to extremes. When fortune smiles, we want to grasp and cling. When misfortune strikes, we collapse in despair. But the Buddha taught gain and loss, praise and blame, joy and sorrow. These 8 winds blow through every life. If you build your house on them, you will always be shaken. But if you stand in equanimity, you remain unmoved, like the mountain in our opening story. Let me share a story. Once a king asked a monk, "What is happiness?" The monk replied, "Happiness is freedom from being a puppet of circumstances." The king frowned, "But how can one be free when life brings both joy and sorrow?" The monk smiled and said, "When joy comes, I smile. When sorrow comes, I smile. I do not cling to joy, and I do not fight sorrow. I see both as visitors who come and go." That is equanimity, welcoming all of life without being enslaved by any of it. But let us be clear, equanimity is not a dry neutrality. It is not sitting with folded arms, saying, "I don't care." Equanimity is caring deeply without being consumed. It is loving fully without clinging. It is working for justice without drowning in hatred. It is walking calmly in the middle of the storm, because you know the storm too will pass. So how do we cultivate this balance? Mindfulness. Watch the rise and fall of thoughts, feelings, sensations. When joy comes, no joy is here. When anger comes, no anger is here. Do not become the storm. Be the sky that holds the storm. Reflection. Remember that everything changes. Joy is not permanent. Sorrow is not permanent. Why cling? Why despair? See both as waves rising and fading on the ocean of life. Compassionate action. Equanimity does not mean inaction. It means acting with clarity, not from panic or greed. When you give, give freely. When you let go fully. Let me give you an image. Picture a great tree, standing in the forest. Birds come and sing on its branches. That is joy. Storms come and strip its leaves. That is sorrow. Travelers rest in its shade. That is praise. Others cut its bark. That is blame. But the tree does not cling to the birds, nor does it despair over the storm. It simply stands, rooted, offering, enduring. That is equanimity. And here is the paradox. When you practice equanimity, you feel more alive, not less, because instead of being tossed by every wave, you can truly see the ocean. Instead of being blinded by extremes, you can truly see reality. So my friends, ask yourself, what wind is blowing strongest in your life now? Is it the wind of gain, tempting you to cling? Is it the wind of loss, threatening to crush you? Is it the wind of praise, making your head swell? Is it the wind of blame, weighing on your heart? Whatever the wind, remember, you are not the wind. You are the mountain. You are the tree. You are the awareness that can stand steady through it all. And when equanimity becomes your dwelling place, then truly, nothing, no joy, no sorrow, no praise, no blame, can shake you. Principle 5. Wisdom and faith in the path. My dear friends, we now arrive at the 5th principle, the one that ties all the others together. Wisdom and faith in the path. If impermanence is the law of the universe, if non-self frees us from ego, if compassion shields us from hatred, and if equanimity steadies us through the storms of life, then wisdom and faith are the roots that hold all of these teachings firm in the soil of our heart. Without roots, the tree falls. Without wisdom and faith, our practice withers. Let us first speak of wisdom, prajna. Wisdom in Buddhism is not about filling the mind with many books or memorizing countless words. It is seeing reality as it truly is. The Buddha compared wisdom to a lamp in the darkness. Without it we stumble, imagining ropes to be snakes and shadows to be demons. With wisdom, the light reveals things clearly, and fear dissolves. And what is reality as it truly is? That all things are impermanent, that there is no fixed self, that clinging leads to suffering, that freedom is possible. Wisdom is not just knowing these truths intellectually, but seeing them directly, like seeing fire and knowing it burns. But wisdom alone is not enough. The mind is clever. It can know, yet not act. This is where faith comes in. Now, when I say faith, I do not mean blind belief. The Buddha himself warned against accepting teachings without testing them. He said, "Do not believe in something merely because it is tradition or spoken by authority. Test it as a goldsmith tests gold, by cutting, burning, rubbing." Faith in Buddhism is not closing your eyes. It is opening your heart. It is confidence born of practice, trust that comes from experience. Think of a traveler crossing a vast desert. Wisdom is the map. Faith is the courage to walk. If you have a map, but no courage, you remain thirsty, stranded. If you have courage but no map, you may wander endlessly, but with both, you reach the oasis. The Buddha's disciples lived this truth. Once a monk was falsely accused of wrongdoing. People mocked him, rejected him, spread lies about him, yet he remained calm. A friend asked, "How can you endure such slander without anger?" The monk replied, "I know the truth of impermanence. Their words are like passing clouds, and I have faith in the path of the Blessed One. Why should I abandon peace for noise?" This is the union of wisdom and faith, seeing clearly, trusting deeply. My friends, wisdom is like the eye. Faith is like the foot. The eye sees the road, the foot walks it. Without the eye, the foot stumbles. Without the foot, the eye only gazes. Together they carry us to freedom. So how do we nurture wisdom and faith? For wisdom we practice mindfulness and meditation. Sit quietly, observe your breath, observe your thoughts, watch them rise and vanish. Over time you see the truth directly. Nothing lasts, nothing is me, everything flows. This direct seeing is wisdom. For faith we practice by remembering the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Reflect on the countless beings who have walked this path before us. When you feel weak, remember their strength. When you feel doubt, remember their example. And most of all, test the teachings in your own life. Each time you taste peace by letting go, each time compassion heals your anger, your faith deepens, not in blind belief, but in lived truth. Sometimes the world will shake you, Sometimes your mind will whisper, "This path is too hard, too long." In those moments, return to wisdom. Everything changes. Return to faith. The Buddha has shown the way. And let me tell you, when wisdom and faith walk together, even fire cannot burn your peace. Even floods cannot drown your joy. You will face loss and smile because wisdom knows it cannot last. You will face fear and breathe because faith knows the path holds you. So I ask you, will you trust both your eyes and your feet? Will you walk with wisdom to see clearly, and with faith to keep going, even when the road feels steep? If you do, my friends, then no storm, no shadow, no doubt will ever be strong enough to move you. With wisdom and faith you become unshakable. With wisdom and faith truly, nothing can affect you. Conclusion: becoming the mountain. My dear friends, we have walked together through the great principles of the Dharma: impermanence, non-self, compassion, equanimity, wisdom and faith. Each one is a step upon the path, a stone laid firmly beneath our feet. Now let us bring them together and return to the image we began with, the mountain. The mountain does not resist the storm. It does not argue with the wind. It does not beg the rain to stop. It simply stands, rooted, vast, unmoved. And in its stillness, it teaches us how to live. You see, life will always bring change. Seasons will shift, bodies will age, loved ones will come and go, fortunes will rise and fall. Words of praise will lift us one day, and words of blame will cut us down the next. None of this can be avoided, but what can be transformed is the way we meet it. When you understand impermanence, you no longer cling so desperately. You see that storms pass, and you stand in peace. When you let go of the false burden of self, the arrows of insult no longer pierce you, and pride no longer blinds you. You are free. When you wear the armor of compassion, hatred cannot touch you. You walk through a world of fire without being burned. When you practice equanimity, the 8 winds cannot sway you. Gain and loss, praise and blame, joy and sorrow, all pass through you like breezes through open windows. When you walk with wisdom and faith, you see clearly and walk firmly. Doubt does not topple you. Fear does not bind you. And so, like the mountain, you remain unshaken. But let us be clear, being the mountain does not mean being cold or lifeless. The mountain gives shelter. Its streams feed the valley. Its soil nourishes the trees. Its presence inspires all who see it. So too, when you live in the Dharma, your steadiness becomes a gift. Others who are tossed in the storm will look to you and find courage. Others who suffer will sit in your shade and find peace. This is the true meaning of practice, not only to free yourself, but to become a refuge for others. So my friends, let me ask you, what kind of mountain will you be? Will you be the mountain that stands alone, or the mountain that nourishes the valley? Will you be the mountain that hides in clouds, or the mountain that shines in sunlight, reminding all of us that stability and peace are possible? The choice is yours. The path is before you. Step by step, moment by moment, root yourself in the Dharma. Stand firm in impermanence. Lay down the burden of self. Clothe yourself in compassion. Balance upon the middle way. Walk with wisdom. Walk with faith. Do this, and you will find that no storm can move you. No fire can consume you. No wave can drown you. You will discover the strength that does not depend on circumstance, the peace that no one can take away, the freedom that is already within you. My friends, the world needs mountains. The world needs hearts that are steady, kind and wise. Let us be those mountains. Let us be those hearts. Let us live so deeply in the Dharma that truly nothing can affect us.